Entrepreneurs have an entirely different landscape of what hard work even is. A few years ago, I had this debate with my father that what he did was not hard work because he works for a big tech company and all he does is sit on his computer and code. Okay. Now, he came at me. He was not very pleased with my comment. And I kind of understood that I was specifically stating that hard work only comes from physically labor intensive jobs. It's different, right? Entrepreneurs have a hard job, right? They have a hard thing to do. They have people to take care of. There's different sides of the spectrum of what actually makes entrepreneurship hard, right? Now, on the other side of the spectrum, you have like construction workers and you have teachers and you have police officers and you have anybody that's like working for the city or garbage truck. Like there's so many jobs in this world that are actually difficult. And it's like, does physical work make hard work? Or is hard work a spiritual, like a sense that is actually what hard work is? Anyway, that's what we're going to cover in today's video. And it's a concerning topic because especially in this day and age, you have everybody in the world, telling you that you need hard work, but they don't really ever tell you what hard work is, right? And especially for an entrepreneur, you have an entirely different landscape of things that you do on a day-to-day basis. And if you were to compare yourself with the way that I kind of compare it, construction workers versus me in my warm, cozy apartment, doing this, like, is this hard work, what I'm doing right now? And it's like, in comparison to like construction, I would have to argue no. But doesn't mean it's not hard work. And I think that also takes like to a completely different realm of like a philosophical way of looking at things, where it's like, if I think something's hard, but you don't, is it hard or is it easy? If we ask the construction worker if what he does is hard, chances are he might not even say yes, because he's been doing it. Like, let's say the construction worker's been doing it for like 10 years, right? And you ask him, is what you do hard? He might honestly answer no, because he's so used to just doing it. It's easy for him. So then if you ask him how to use a MacBook, that might be what's hard to him. So it's like, what the fuck is hard work for an entrepreneur? Anyway, let's kind of talk about it. So the first one is mental load versus physical load. And I think that this one just goes to show that entrepreneurs don't have a physical load. And especially in today's day and age, where generally speaking, making money online is like the most relevant thing in the world to do right now. And it doesn't matter what kind of money you're making online, it's never really going to come with a physically labor intensive thing. I mean, maybe you wake up at a certain time, maybe you have like this specific regimented lifestyle routine, or maybe you wake up whenever you want and you get to work whenever you want. And I mean, that's kind of what entrepreneur comes with, like that freedom of, but it's like, you need to have like a regimented schedule of like, I'm at least going to work like 5 hours a day or 10 hours a day. And those are going to be the peak working hours, no distractions. And you kind of ask yourself, it's like, is it more of a psychological thing more than it is a physical thing? And I think when it comes to entrepreneurship, I think, yes, it's more of a spiritual thing where, you have people that you need to take care of, and their happiness and their families almost rely on the efforts that you put in, right? And their quality of life is interconnected with your ability to perform. And that's a difficult thing to grasp, and then a difficult thing to execute on, while knowing every single day, every action or decision that I make affects the livelihoods of all the people that I work with. And we can kind of get into like just a ton of individual points on how mentally exhausting and draining and mentally difficult entrepreneurship is. But I don't really want to, because I think I could just sit here and talk for an hour on it. And one of the things is, you don't really get a schedule. And I know while this seems like great to some people, not having a schedule actually undermines everything that you were taught from ages 1 to 18. Every single day you wake up and you go to school, and school is at the same time every day. And then after school, you have these certain things that you need to do after school every single day, whether it's homework, then it goes to sports, or whatever it is. And so you're trained and pretty much manufactured to be within a mental framework of structure. And as this progresses, whether you're 25 or 30 now, if you're working any regular job, you still have structure. Every single day you go to a job at the same time, on the same days, and you do the same thing every day. And that's structure. And to some degree, humans need structure in order for them to even operate. I mean, I couldn't imagine what a life would be like if nobody had any structure. And that's like an entirely different conversation, because then you bring in like time, and like time is actually what gives people structure and whatnot. But like as an entrepreneur, you don't have structure. And so it's a difficult thing to do, is wake up without any structure in your life and come and sit down at your desk and then give yourself structure, because it almost goes out of like the innate desire for humans. I think humans innately don't want structure, and I think that's why a lot of people don't have structure even to this day, even people that have their jobs, right? The first thing they do when they come out of work is they lay in bed and they watch TikToks, or they go and hang out with friends, or they go to do this, like just a bunch of random things. And it's because innately humans don't want structure. But in order for humanity to even exist at all, people need structure. So you take somebody out of the corporate world where they're told that you need to do this, 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 and this. And you make them make those decisions for themselves. And making those decisions for themselves is incredibly difficult, especially when there's a world full of amazing things to do. You know, if you have a girlfriend and your girlfriend wants to hang out, I mean, she's got to understand that, like, if you were working at a regular job, you wouldn't be able to see her during these times anyway. So, like, I need to be able to do this. And so you have a lot of distractions. And not only that, you don't have anybody telling you what you need to do. So you're giving yourself structure. But not only that, you're giving yourself structure on things that you don't even know what you're supposed to be doing, but you're just trying things. And it's really difficult to just try things when you don't know what the end goal is. When you're working at a corporate job, you know what the end goal is. Eventually, you retire with your pension, or you get a pay raise, or you work your way up the corporate ladder and you become like the big boss. Like, you have like a direct life that you live. You know the exact input and then the exact output. If I show up to work every day at my corporate job, in 10 years I'll start working my way up the corporate ladder. Okay, and then at some point I could be the big boss. Entrepreneurship is, you don't know what you're fighting for. And you don't know what it looks like, and you don't know the time frame, and you don't know if any of the things that you're doing are even working, or if the market cycles have shifted. You have no clue. So you're like, picture this as an entrepreneur. I mean, and it's difficult. Take the physical thing of like construction and then what we do, like entrepreneurs. Physically, more difficult construction worker than, sitting at home working and being an entrepreneur. Now take the full understanding as a construction worker that if I continue to show up every day and I continue to just work and I continue to do a good job and I can work my way up the corporate ladder, this is where I'm going to end if I continue to do this. Now look at the entrepreneur's life. Wake up, have no idea what you should do today. Have no idea what needle needs to be moved in your life in order to take you to the next step. And it's all about just staying incredibly disciplined to faith, to just believing that someday the world or the universe will reward you. And it's a difficult thing to have, right? Not only that, you're doing it alone. You're completely doing it alone. And it's very difficult to find people that are also in the same mental space as you. So you have like this role of leadership that you need to fulfill for yourself, alongside trying to keep your own schedule and figure out what you're supposed to be doing, all on just a dream, a hope that everything's going to work out one day. I think that the leap of leadership is like one of the biggest things that you can have a private victory on, something that you fully win within yourself. And that leap of leadership is what kind of just alters your perception from like, I'm working towards nothing, towards I know I'm working towards something. I may not know exactly how I'm going to get to this point. I read this book a while ago and they talked about, I think it might have been the 7 Principles of Highly Effective Men or something along those lines. And they had talked about difference between like managership and leadership. And he had given this like example where this company was tasked to go through the woods and they were looking for like the end of the woods. And he had given like a depiction of a leader and the managers. And the leader spent like the first full day building like a ladder to crawl to the top of the trees, while the managers spent their entire, time just wandering through the woods trying to find an end. And the difference is the leader doesn't just follow exactly what's being told. The leader actually looks for like the easier way to get to the point. Like he knows that there's a path to $1 million. Okay. Everybody's just kind of crawling through the woods and trying to find how to get there with the lottos and the gambling and just working regular jobs and kind of just hoping for a big break. Then the leadership, on the other hand, took his time to just build up on top of the tree and overlook the entire forest and then decide on a path before taking it. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to ask yourself, am I a leader or am I a manager? And if I'm a leader, then I need to brush off all of the noise by doing a full analysis on everything that's being purported in the market: e-commerce, dropshipping, Shopify, stock trading, all of them. And then I need to identify, as the leader, this is the one that is going to take me from here to here in the shortest amount of time. And then you need to bring a team of people with you, right? And then, we can just talk for hours on like leadership specifically, but we're not going to. The biggest demeanor or the most annoying part about being like a leader, and one of the things that we kind of touched on is like, you don't know how long it's going to take. And oh my gosh, and you start like compounding all of these things. And it's like, you don't know how long it's going to take. You don't know the exact path to take. You're taking a massive leadership role. You're working when you don't necessarily have to, or you may not have any structure. So you're giving yourself like this massive like structure within your life. And then you have like this spiritual load on your shoulders. So it's like all of these things continue to just stack. And then you kind of understand, okay, entrepreneurship is a little bit difficult. It is a little hard depending on how many components you add to it. And I think that when you look at entrepreneurship from an outer perspective, it almost like kind of seems like the opposite. He knew that he was going to start this company, especially when you're looking at like successful entrepreneurs. It's like, well, he started Apple, and so he ended here, of course. But do you understand like the level of gratification delays that you need to have in order to even get from point A to point B? You have to have a understanding that when I start having money come in, this isn't money that's just profit. This is money that I need to now reinvest, whether it's back into my business or reinvest back into equipment or reinvest in, like, where am I reinvesting this money? And then delaying a gratification on something that you don't even know if it exists or not. Like, you have no idea. Like, you know that you want to go from zero to $1 million, but you don't fully understand just how long it's going to take. But you're a leadership, and so you've overseen the market and you know exactly where you're going to go. But now you have no idea how long it's going to take, right? And so it's almost rewiring your brain to enjoying the unexpected, because what does come with entrepreneurship is you never know what tomorrow is going to hold for you. You never know what a week from now is going to hold for you. You never know what a month or a year from now has in stock for you. And just 2.5, 3 years ago, I was broke. Or maybe 4 years or 5 years now. I don't know how long I've been rich, but it all happened really, really, really quickly. So this doesn't always happen for everybody. There's some companies that have been in business for 10 years and still haven't seen a level of success. And I don't think that that's going to happen to like anybody who sits down and dedicates their entire life to it. But you're wishing on a shooting star and you have no idea the exact path that you're going to take. You have no understanding for how long it's going to take. You have no understanding for the structure that you need to give yourself. And then the last thing I kind of want to just talk about is the difference between systems thinking versus like task execution. It's a very difficult thing to actually execute on tasks when you are an entrepreneur. One of the easier things in the world is to come up with ideas, and everybody's got a million ideas, which is funny, just talking to some people. And you hear the ideas that they have, and they're honestly brilliant. But they're brilliant to me because I understand like exactly how you would execute on them. And then they're brilliant to them just because they think it's $1 million idea. And it's like $1 million idea doesn't actually get you paid. Okay? And I think it goes to show just how difficult actual entrepreneurship is, because if you ask anybody in your family, ask anybody that you know that's just around, if they have any really good ideas to make a bunch of money, and chances are they all do, right? But they're not executing on them, because taking all the things that we had just talked about and then applying them into actual execution is the difficult part, right? They're not being told that you need to do this, 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 and this. They actually may not even know exactly where to start. And now they have to go learn something that they have no idea what it involves or what it revolves around. And that becomes like the more difficult part, is structuring your life, knowing where you want to go, and then not just having an idea, but actually capitalizing on it and executing. Nonetheless, I think it's just safe to say that entrepreneurship is hard. It is a different type of hard. It's more of a spiritual, in a spiritual sense, where it's more difficult than it is a physical sense. But nonetheless, I mean, creating a structure for yourself, working towards something that you can't see, having an unwavering amount of faith in something that you don't even know if it exists or if it's possible, is an incredibly difficult thing to do. Is it physically hard work? No. But is it mentally straining and mentally draining? Absolutely. But what I can say is that I do absolutely believe in the universal laws that if you try your best every single day towards a very specific goal, whether it's $1 million, whether it's $10 million, whatever it is, I believe that if you just work your absolute hardest, both physically and both mentally, towards this goal, I believe that it absolutely is obtained and achievable 100% of the time. From every experience that I've ever had, anybody I've ever worked with, people that have worked with unwavering faith that they can achieve something, 99% of the time they have. And other than that, I hope we kind of covered the difference and gave you a full understanding of what exactly is hard work.